VP demands every line of code reviewed. I complied. Chaos ensued. I was a software developer at a mid-sized tech firm. The company had recently hired a new VP of development, Mark, who was keen to make a name for himself by implementing strict coding standards. Mark's rules were unnecessarily rigid and often counterproductive. One such rule was that every single line of code, no matter how trivial, needed to be documented and reviewed by him personally before deployment. He sent this directive out in a Slack message to the entire development team. Sensing that this could lead to trouble, I took a screenshot of the message. I, along with several colleagues, tried to reason with Mark, explaining that this approach would stifle innovation and slow down the development process immensely. But Mark was unyielding, convinced that his way would produce flawless code. Seeing no other option, I decided to maliciously comply. Over the next several weeks, I wrote extensive documentation for every line of code, even for the most self-explanatory functions. Simple changes that used to take a few minutes now took hours, as everything had to be sent to Mark for review. Mark's days were consumed by reviewing mundane code, and his other responsibilities began to suffer. Projects were delayed, deadlines were missed, and costs began to skyrocket as everything came to a screeching halt. Eventually, Mark came to me, clearly annoyed, and accused me of overinterpreting his rule to cause delays. Calmly, I pulled up the screenshot of his original Slack message and showed him that I was only following his exact instructions. He was taken aback but had no choice but to acknowledge that I had complied precisely with his rule. Shortly after, the CEO took notice of the delays and launched an investigation. When he discovered Mark's overbearing review process, he was livid. One of the delayed projects was a critical update for a major client, and the holdup had cost the company a lucrative contract extension. This loss could be traced directly back to Mark's policy. Mark was promptly fired, and his rule was abolished. TLDR. New VP implemented a rigid code review rule, causing delays. I followed it to the letter, leading to lost contracts and his eventual firing.
Screenshots for the W.
Only thing Mark will be reviewing is his resume. Lol. How do these people get a job after events like this? I would bet anything that Mark didn't learn any lessons about managing employees, proper work scope, or even just how to not be a dick in a new environment. But Mark found a job doing the same thing for same money at another company 2 months later, I'd bet. Just ranting in the comments. Me at the employment line. Oh. Hi, Mark. I love stories like this. Who was keen to make a name for himself by implementing strict coding standards. This loss could be traced directly back to Mark's policy. Well, he did technically make a name for himself. If more managers, executives understood Chesterton's fence, this sub would have far fewer posts. Software developer here. VP obviously had no clue how much maintenance the software required. I'm all for documentation and code reviews, but not by some VP who probably had better things to do. I wonder if he was one of those guys who had fond memories of when he was a coder but didn't remember the realities of what it was like to address user problems in a timely basis. Refreshing that the boss canned him instead of feeling like he had to cover for his own mistake of hiring the guy. Gotta love micromanagers who can't believe that anyone but them might be competent. What he thought would happen? He'd get sent only some code, review it, do literally nothing to it, but because he signs off on the end result, all the workers' success becomes his personal success. In other news, Local McDonald's production slows to a crawl when new manager demands to inspect every single sesame seed on the buns before the burgers are bagged for the customer. If VP policy less than reason, then go sub MCMARCK. Need that code review PLZ. Got to change the world and leave their mark. Too bad their mark is a stain. I was poached by a former IT help desk team leader who had landed a job in one of the big resource miners here in Perth, West Oz. She had no team at all, as the previous team of 5 had quit en masse and their team leader fired as a result. The reason? Every single thing had to be approved by her before the team could do any actual work. This caused delays, with employees waiting far too long, as even a simple fix or adding a user properly requested by an authorized person all had to be personally signed off by her. Being fired in the slightly incestuous IT market here in Perth, where if you don't know someone working at an IT shop, then you do know someone who does, is not a good reference. She had to make a career change after that. This drops quite nearly into, I think, Tales from Tech Support. It's a tale. It's about tech. And it's software support trifecta. It absolutely boggles me that dudes like Mark can get these lofty executive positions over and over and over again. CYA is the most important documentation of all. Mark tried playing a game and lost lol. Awesome going op. Good riddance to bad rubbish. VP should have focused on Veep things and not keep things. Fuck yeah, op. Nicely done.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.